This next panel will be dealing with improving quality of life and amenities and revitalization in the community. And we're fortunate to have with us on the panel today DeShanta Hairston, who is the new Executive Director of FAHI and the owner of Books and Crannies. And we have Sarah Hodges, who's representing the Martinsville-Henry County Economic Development Corporation, and Virginia Hamlet, who's the owner of Hamlet Vineyards, and Derrick Ziglar, who is a real estate developer and is also part of Uptown Partnership. Right? And again, Telly Tucker will be our moderator, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Welcome. Y'all gonna be sick of hearing me today. Thank you for being here. I'll just start off with an open question maybe for everybody. So the name of this summit is Level Up Martinsville-Henry County. What do you think that means for local amenities in terms of revitalization efforts? And I'll open that up to anybody who wants to start.
I'll start. I really think that thinking outside of the county, you're telling your remarks about regionalism. On any given Sunday, if you come to Hamlet Vineyards, half the people there are going to be from somewhere else. So as much as we're respecting our local customers who have helped us become successful, we're reaching out and want customers from other localities to come here. So we've got to think about how do we attract them to build our business.
I would also add to that, I think some of what level up means in this context is sort of understanding that Martinsville deserves better. So I think a lot of times there's a mindset that, we've had a hard time and this is where we see ourselves, and this is not the case. I mean, anytime we have somebody in town, they are blown away at the beauty of this place. They are blown away at the things we have to offer. And sometimes it's just a internal level up in our mind to look around and be like, yes, you're right. We are lucky, we are fortunate, and we do deserve all of these great things that are coming our way. So I think that's important too.
I think also just thinking about the way we think about things in Martinsville, we don't have to go with the status quo. Like, let's go higher than what that is, right? We deserve nice, beautiful amenities. We deserve nice apartment buildings and houses and all these beautiful things that for years have kind of not been in development, have not been thought about because we've thought, well, the people here don't want it, or Martinsville doesn't have the money here to do these things, or people won't take care of it. I don't think those things are true. And I think we're at a point where, as community members and leaders within our community, where we have to start making a decision of, hey, we're gonna level up what we give to the people within our community and think about how we can take what we think now is good and now make it great. And then from there, we'll continue to grow and develop. And those things will become better and better over time.
Just to add to what everyone has already said, for me, it's like leveling up our mentality and getting everybody on the same page as far as what Martinsville can be. I think a lot of the people who were born and raised here kind of get caught up in what has been and how our growth has been really slow. But I do think that if we can get everyone on the same mindset of Martinsville can be so much greater, and we have to think outside of ourselves and think about the greater good of the community as a whole. And by that, I mean including everyone in all diverse aspects as well.
I love what each of you talked about. You talked about the difference between outside perceptions and internal perceptions, and the fact that you do deserve nice things. One thing that happens, and when I showed you the picture of Rick Barker's redevelopment, where he moved his headquarters downtown, some people went, wow, that's really nice. What happens is when people see that, then they go tell your story. That helps change the internal perspective just as much as it does the external. So really going above and beyond in your design, your concept, your redevelopment, making sure those amenities are nice. I think that does go a long way. Your refrains are very similar to what we heard in Danville. People in Danville called it the Danville discount, right? Like, we want everything cheap. And so we had to get that mindset out of people that, like, there are some things we don't want cheap, right? And so there's some things that shouldn't look cheap when you come and you want a customer to have a certain experience. So I appreciate your comments on those. We'll move to the next question. Each of you are in a different role. What do you hear from your customers or from your clientele that locals or visitors want in Martinsville-Henry County? Are you hearing things that they want maybe that aren't here or they want more of?
Yeah, I think on mine is kind of twofold. Being on Uptown Partnerships, we've done the community visioning, which involved getting interested statements and things that people in the community actually want to see here. And so from that perspective, we heard a lot of things around just community gathering places. Some of the pocket parks, revitalizing some of those things. We've had suggestions like an amphitheater, dog park, things like that, right? Specific to that Uptown area. Outside of that, when I think about from the real estate development standpoint, leaving the community and coming back to the community as well, a lot of things that I hear from, I'm 30 years now, 30 years old, from my generation and then some of the younger kids that are coming up that are wanting to be in Martinsville is we need fun places to be. What are the places where on the weekends we actually can go there with our friends, with family, and enjoy each other in our community, and meet up with people within our own community and have fun. We don't feel like you have to then travel to Danville or feel like you have to travel to Greensboro outside of our own area to do that. So I think those are the type of things that people are looking for now.
For me, I hear a lot of people say that we need more things to do, more places to eat. But as far as having more things to do, I think there is a sense of, you know, Martinsville is doing a lot more entertainment-wise than we have in the past years. But so many of these events and things are so similar culture-wise, and a lot of people are looking for more diverse entertainment and other ways to reach younger people and people with different cultural backgrounds. So I think that is something that we really have to work on.
From a tourism perspective, I hear a lot of people that are passionate about our trail system and want to see it continue to grow, and that work is definitely still happening. Outdoor recreation opportunities, outdoor gathering places, dog parks, and then overwhelmingly, splash pad and rooftop bar. Are the two that I hear that a lot of people want to see, and it does go to Derrick and DeShanta's point of more nightlife amenities. I think is we hear a lot of that from folks.
We have a splash pad on the way too, but yeah, we hear the same.
You got a rooftop bar?
We do have a rooftop.
There you go.
But I also think we need to, as we're talking about leveling up, a lot of times people are interested in starting something and they're doing a very grassroots effort, or they may, but not to forget that we do sometimes need some advice, outside designers, outside, or people who are here to help us and bring that quality. Because then you have less of a chance of failure. I think if you don't know and that's not your area of expertise, look for somebody who can help you, and let's bring it to the next level.
I would say one quick add-on to that as well. When you do see people that are trying to start these amenities or these businesses that you have said you wanted, you know, walk the talk, man. You got to show up. You got to come to their event. You got to support their business. I know money is tight for everyone. Talk about it positively to your friends or to people that are coming to visit. Talk positively, share their story. You know, if everyone in this room advocated positively for Martinsville-Henry County for the next, till the end of the year, just the ripple effect of that and the mindset, and it would be amazing.
Use social media, right? The exponential word of mouth through social media is unbelievable. And when you have friends and family that come visit, take them to some of these local amenities too. Let them have that experience, because then they'll go back and tell somebody outside this area that we never were able to reach. There was one thing that DeShanta mentioned that I wanted to also touch on. We talk about, a lot of people are talking about diversity these days and why that's important. And it's not only the morally right thing to do, it's the economically smart thing to do. There is a significant economic benefit to a community by having, embracing diversity in business and activities and amenities, because you bring in a larger group of clientele who then bring their purchasing power. And I just wanted to double down on that. I thank you for your remarks on that. I'm going to aim this next question for you, DeShanta. In your new role as the executive director of FAHI, which I hadn't heard before, Fayette Area Historical Initiative, what's your vision for the museum and the community?
Okay, so you said you hadn't heard of that before, and that is the start of my vision, because we need everybody to know about FAHI, for one. not just in this area, because there are a lot of people in this area who weren't even aware of FAHI, because we've been volunteer-based for so many years, and in my new role, I am hoping to get FAHI on a regional scale, to get that regional pool of people to coming back here, and also on a national scale through social media, because Martinsville's history of the Fayette area is so extensive and so rich, and so many people don't know about it. So first, I want to bridge the gap of getting our youth aware of the history here so they can find hope in what we used to have and know that this area doesn't have to stay like this and it wasn't always like this. And also to get the museum on a national scale so we can get those people to visit Martinsville from different cultural aspects as well. We get a lot of tourism with the walking trails and just outdoor, because this is, just a beautiful area on the outdoor scale, but I really want to drive people here on a cultural scale as well, and also make the museum a place for the Fayette area community to rebuild the community as a whole and use the museum as a staple to have different educational programs and whatnot for the kids in this area and those who are underserved and have been underserved for some time here.
Thank you. By show of hands, how many people had heard of FAHI before today? All right, that's good stuff. Good stuff. You're doing a good job. All right, this next question is for Derrick. As a board member of Uptown Partnership, what are the future plans of Uptown? Are there any things that you can share with us that are maybe in the plans or in the works?
Yes, so Uptown Partnership, so what we're really focused on is getting that Main Street designation back. So you kind of mentioned that earlier. The resources, the consultation, there's a lot of grants and things and just money that's available for our area. And so specifically, it would be the Uptown area in which these resources would be applied to help revitalize that area and bring it back to life. And so, as a part of that process, we did the community visioning process and got feedback from different members within the community on what they wanted to see, the issues that they thought we had specific to Uptown, and kind of where they want to see us grow towards. And so taking that information in and really looking at that, we're in the process now of looking at the possibilities of some of the things like, pocket parks, like doing murals on buildings, like dog parks, like an amphitheater, those type of things, which is what the community mentioned they would like to see. So a lot of background work is being done to get that process actually started and see what the realization of that is and the potential of us really making that happen. But ultimately, right now, besides that part, we're focused on the partnerships with other organizations in our community, building the bridges there, connecting those resources, and making sure that ultimately what we help do is establish a strong Uptown that is vibrant. And I think everybody kind of has their own definition of that, but ultimately at the core of it, it's people being Uptown, small businesses, entrepreneurs, members in the community feeling welcome and coming to that area, and that's what we're looking to do. So.
Thank you, Derrick. And if I could give any encouraging words, is stay the course. There'll be fits and starts, there'll be ups and downs and disappointments, but keep pushing. Really excited to hear that. And I talked about our living room earlier. I would probably say that Uptown is probably the equivalent of your living room in this region. And when people come to a community to visit, they want to oftentimes go, where's the center of the city? Where's the downtown? Where's the Uptown, or the place that everybody kind of gathers that has that special energy? So really, thank you for the work that you and the Uptown Partnership are doing. Let me ask one more question, and I'll open this up to anybody. You kind of maybe touched on this a little bit earlier, but what do you think the local community's role is in supporting our local amenities? What's the role of the local community in supporting these amenities?
I'll start just by saying, support those businesses. Go visit them, share, talk about them, that type of thing. And as we continue to bring new businesses in, as some of the entrepreneurs that start businesses try to elevate the quality of service they're giving, as property owners redevelop those properties and things like that, right? Share that stuff. Support those restaurants that are opening. Go out there, hang out, everybody act like we have sense, and support each other, right? And just support each other. That's really what it comes down to. We're a small community, but we're a strong community when we support each other. And so if we want to continue to grow, that's really what it comes down to in order to help us all elevate and help our community grow.
I really really think the local community also needs to examine their talents, their passions, and is there something that they would be willing to do? Is there a business that they're willing to start? I mean, my business started as a passion for wine. I never expected to be a farmer, but it grew into something bigger than what I initially expected. There are people here with passions. There are passions for jewelry, or passions for flowers. There's a business in that, and you don't have to necessarily be an entrepreneur because somebody can help you with that part. So if there's something you're interested, it's not work. It becomes a joy, and I will, practice my joy as long as it's joyful. So there's a lot out there that people could be doing.
Speaking from the aspect of being a bookstore owner, I think I was in the first class that the Startup Martinsville program did 6 years ago. And in the course of being open for 6 years, I can attest to what Virginia said about the majority of my customers are coming in from out of town. There have been situations where I've had local people come in and they'll say, oh, I can get this cheaper on Amazon. So that mentality alone is just not conducive to the community at all, because we have to really support our community as a whole and what we have here versus outsourcing. Of course, things may be cheaper when you get it online or get it from a big retailer, but you're not putting any money back into the community. And just supporting the events and things that we have here, because I often hear a lot about how there's nothing to do here, but then we have all of these free events that different organizations and businesses host, and you have minimal support of people who show up. So just showing up for the community, even if it's not just buying from somewhere, but to show up and support in numbers when there's things going on, that's very important.
I'll add in agreement with everything they said, supporting the businesses, looking at what you might offer. As a business owner, nonprofit, one of our wonderful museums, any of that, sort of challenge yourself regularly as well. Am I continuing to look at how I operate and make sure that I'm putting the best foot forward as a representative of a business in Martinsville? Am I continuing to challenge my staff, my thoughts, my ideas, my events, my cultural offerings? Don't become complacent. There's a lot of resources, as we heard earlier, and many others that can help. Hey, I'm struggling with customer service with my team or front desk interactions. Does anyone have a resource that helps me, or bring some training in? Constantly reevaluate yourself and what you're offering and how the level of service you're providing as a rep, and step it up, level it up.
Be the change that you want to see, right? If we want vibrant communities, we've got to support, we've got to come out, we've got to invest, put our dollars back in the community. DeShanta, you're spot on about being able to get something cheaper on Amazon. Well, guess what? Amazon doesn't have a storefront. They don't have to pay the same brick and mortar rent and utilities that this young lady, an entrepreneur, has to pay. And so there's a cost associated with that. But we also want to see that building filled. We want to see people on the street visiting these businesses. So we've got to support them and encourage other friends and family members to do the same.
Can I say something else? I also want to add that I think there can be a disconnect between a consumer and a business. A lot of times you have kind of consumers tend to have an attitude that we should provide the same level that you would get from like Walmart, which is impossible as a small business. So just have expectations to receive good customer service and whatnot, but also try to be more understanding that small businesses cannot produce at the rate that a major corporation can. But that support and continued support will continue to increase what the business is able to do, and also give back to the community as well.
I was going to touch on that. Amazon isn't sponsoring your kids' T-ball league, and they're not donating a gift card to the many wonderful nonprofit silent auctions we have. They're not showing up every day, but our local people are. So that's something really important, and is their community give back, and we see it every day. Half the time I ask for it, so I know that's a big give back as well.
Sarah, I'm so glad you said that. Talk about giving back. Virginia, you don't realize this, but I've met you before. I played music at your Vineyard for the Boys and Girls Club fundraiser that you hosted there as a way to give back. And yeah, that's another story, another life about the outside, which I don't. But no, she was a gracious host, and I was playing along with some musicians that came from Lynchburg, and they went, wow, this vineyard is amazing. Had never had that experience. And I know they went back and told some other people about it. That's how it works. And perfect segue, Sarah. Virginia opening up her doors and hosting that to benefit a local organization like Boys and Girls Club continues to make that impact felt beyond just that initial transaction. That's the importance of local business. All right. I think maybe we have time for a few questions from the floor. Yes.
I'd like to add just one more thing. Contributing back may cost you more at the point of sale, but the revenue that it brings back to the community in tax dollars and sales tax and whatnot, plus, the upkeep of the buildings just adds more and more to the community. So advertise that when they talk about Amazon.
To add to Chris, we just got back our 2021 tourism economic impact data from the state of Virginia, and we did see an increase from both 2020 and 2019, so our community is continuing to see increases in the expenditures here. But one fun fact that I always think is awesome to relate how these numbers affect everyone here. Basically, each household in Martinsville-Henry County saves $176-ish on their state taxes, their local taxes, state taxes, based on the income that is in this area from tourism. So everyone is affected. Continue to see that number grow would be great, but there is an impact to every household in our community from money that's coming from the outside, being spent, and going back to their area. And these are the kinds of shops that are bringing them, so.
Linda Crabtree. I'm working to revitalize the community center in Bassett. It's nice to know that people want a splash pad on the water park, on our property. So everybody, if anybody is interested in talking with me about that, I am excited to offer that to the community because it's something we don't have. We're going to have a splash pad, but we're also going to have some slides and a water park. That's my vision. So I appreciate any help I can get from the economic development community.
My name is Betsy Haskins, and I'm a long-time person from Martinsville-Henry County, and this makes me so much more proud than I've ever been. I also wanted to ask, where do we find out about all the activities and things that we can take part of and enjoy in?
Well, I'm happy you even asked. So the tourism entity for Martinsville-Henry County is Visit Martinsville. We have a wonderful website. We have a monthly event calendar in PDF form that can be accessed at any time. And we also have a brand new app. We encourage you all to download the app. It is really, really mobile friendly compared to our website. And it will list all the events going on, all the new bed and breakfasts in our town that you can explore, everything that we have going on. It's super user friendly. We're really, really proud of it. And we encourage everyone to download that and keep up to date with what's happening. So thank you for the shout out.
Yeah, I'm Eric Phillips, President and CEO of the Phillips Group. I just had a comment and a question. I think, one, it's good to see so much positive momentum in our area. I'm from Henry County, Martinsville area, moved away, lived other places, moved back, spent the majority of my life in this area. But, we do have a lot of positive things. I mean, Uptown is clean. It just needs some businesses and some buildings and some redevelopment of buildings. But one of the things I would ask is, what are we doing to leverage local money? I mean, there's money, we always hear, we're poor, we're this. Listen, you go belly up at the bar at Chat Moss any given night, there's money, right? I mean, there's plenty of people in this area who are willing to do things, given the opportunity to do things, but there has to be spaces available and people willing to sell. One. Two, and this will be for Telly, he got cut a little short earlier, to speak to mass as far as, from a retail perspective, things like that. One of the things that would scare me a little about opening a business uptown is, you're kind of in a desert. You may have an empty building on either side and one in the middle. There's a reason Lowe's and Home Depot build across the street from each other. Mm-hmm. So speak to mass and how once we can start gaining mass, how that will help build momentum to finish out the uptown projects.
Thanks, Eric, for the question. And I agree with you, there is local money. If you want to pass the hat around the room, maybe we can take a collection. No, critical mass is, it was one of our strategies, and often what we see in economic development is residential leads commercial. The first projects we saw in Danville's River District were residential projects. One of them was a mixed income housing, which there's an entity at the state called Virginia Housing, it used to be called VHDA, that helped with the financing. It was a mixed income development so that we could have some affordable housing and some market rate housing in the same development. Then the second project was a senior living housing. It was an age restricted housing, 55 and over. They came down when there was very little to no commercial activity. But the minute you started seeing residents there, then all of a sudden that became the impetus for some of the commercial activity. The other strategy that I would say is, as from a city perspective, from an economic development perspective, you may have to buy, quote unquote, your first couple of destination type businesses that draw traffic. And when I say buy, then meaning you may have to provide some capital that you might not recover in direct tax revenue, but you will get it in indirect. So the idea is that you prime the pump early so that you can back off later. And it's not always a popular decision, but it's one that you have to look at from a long-term perspective. I think those are some things that we did to help drive that critical mass. And then of course, when businesses do come, any type of events that you can do in your Uptown area to help drive critical mass and people coming, whether that's an outdoor festival, a concert, live music, people show up for those things. One of the most innovative things that I thought a private sector business came up with is we did a fundraiser dinner, a plated dinner on the bridge over the Dan River. They set up tables, they closed down one lane of the bridge, got permission to do that. They set up dinner tables, they had it catered, and people sat there at sunset on the bridge looking at the river, and it was a way to get people in the river district downtown. So it's just sometimes creativity, just thinking outside the box. Don't be afraid to try something. If it doesn't work, it's okay. You try something else.
We have time for one more question.
Hi, I'm LaDonna Hairston, owner of Performance 276. My question is kind of personal, far as business-wise and residential-wise. From the West End, if everybody know what the West End area is. My concern is with revitalizing Uptown is gentrification. And I'm probably addressing the elephant in the room, but I do think it is a conversation that we need to have. Not only that as being residential, but business owner. I am on the West End, on the 5 Point area near Memorial Boulevard. And for those who know that the owner has is deceased and now the properties are up for auction. So, you know, like the future of my business right now is at stake, and that concerns me as well. So my question is that being addressed for as revitalizing the Uptown area and the gentrification? Because if you look at Uptown, it filters into Fayette Street, and I'm one who has supported FAHI from the beginning when they were Uptown. And not only that, being a business owner, I was Uptown and then relocated, because one of the things that our goal is to transition from where we are now. Because when we first opened up, we knew that our target market wasn't going to be the people in the West End area, but we're there now, and we want to make our presence there and be able to target them. So we're transitioning our services, and even from our name change from CrossFit 276 to Performance 276. So I wanted, and it's probably maybe geared to you and Sarah more so, is that being addressed for gentrification?
I think in conversations that I've had with our city leadership, when we talk about development of residential housing, apartments, things like that, a lot of things that do come up is that mixture of affordable being a part of that development. And I think that's how you continue to address it, where revitalization doesn't have to be gentrification. Gentrification is when you're driving out low income and old, and then you're putting in new, more expensive because you want to bring a certain type of group of people to an area. Whereas revitalization is about bringing things back to life and making sure that for everybody, you get to be a part of what that looks like. And so what I would say is just through the conversations that I've had and being a part of some of the different boards and things like this, even the housing summit where they talked about how we still need affordable housing. There are parts where we do need some nicer housing, right? We do have people here that can afford that. And I think it's a myth that we don't. However, as a part of that though, I will say there is a big push for mixed residential in the sense of having nicer homes, nicer apartments and things like that that may be a little bit at market or above, but also mixing in there the ability of affordable housing. And I will say grant money from the state that makes developing in an area like Martinsville is strongly focused on that as well. So from a developer standpoint, it makes sense to mix both of those as you continue to develop and invest in the area. So.
Okay, thank you. And now let's give our panel a round of applause.